Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. And we've been saying a lot of our recent episodes are special, and in some ways this episode isn't special at all.
I was going to say, you're going to be like, this episode is not special.
But
Skip
by
ahead.
being not special, I feel like this is going to be a quintessential episode of the podcast, because for weeks now we have had Gamer Comic Expo specials, we've had some amazing guests, but now here we are, the three original Sibs, catching up on what we've been watching. Lily in the Canary Islands, how are you?
I'm good. I am. Yesterday we had a huge black belt exam, because remember we run martial arts schools, so it was.
But you weren't in it. So
no, I didn't
it.
perform. I was the photographer and organizer of different things, but no, I did not perform for everyone. But
perform, isn't it a test? Is it an exhibition or a test?
Yes, it's a test. There's a part of it that's an exhibition. It's like a 3-day test. Like, these kids are pushed to their limit, or adults. There's adults too, but I always. When I'm in that, sometimes I get taken out of the situation when I'm in it, and I'm like, weird. This is my life. This is like an episode of Cobra Kai. So it's pretty cool. I mean, martial arts is pretty amazing if you think about it.
I was given a white belt in your husband's style of martial arts, and he gave me like a teeny tiny kid's white belt that made me feel extra fat.
Well, I think it's just the
motivation. Silent motivation.
Becky in Berkeley, how are you?
I must have talked last week about...
Yeah, you did speak on the microphone.
About my ballet class, about taking Miri to ballet class, right?
You did.
Did I?
I don't know about that, but
I don't think so.
Please, we need to hear about your daughter.
We didn't record last weekend because you were at GamerCon. So my daughter, who's going to turn 2 next month, started ballet class. When we signed up for it, I was just like, you know what? This is absurd how much they're charging you for like a 45-minute baby ballet class. This is a scam. I cannot believe I'm doing this. They can have all my money. It was the most amazing thing in the entire world. She's done 2 classes. She dances like a little butterfly and gallops and twirls around and does pliés, and they can have all my money. It's just brilliant. And nothing makes me happier than watching her.
The most important question is, did you get her a tutu?
No, I haven't gotten her a tutu because I'm too cheap. But Mom and Dad are coming in about 2 weeks, and they're going to take her to ballet. I'm sure they're just going to buy her all the tutus.
They don't have to wear tutus. That's like an option.
No,
tutu optional.
Until they're in, I think until they're like in the 3-year-old class or older, they can wear whatever they want. They can just.
I have not seen a single video of this yet. Were you not allowed cell phones? Was it like when you went to see Magic Mike, no cell phones allowed?
First of all, so many cell phones allowed in Magic Mike. That doesn't mean we were showing you all the videos. No, it's because I'm going alone with her, and at that age...
Allie told me there was no cell phones allowed.
Private videos. No, it's because I'm going on my own with her, and the parent actually has to do the class with the kid, and so there hasn't been a moment when I can film her because I have to
you're 9
be helping.
Pregnant?
I almost vomited
where's the
today.
video of you doing ballet?
I almost vomited today.
Oh my goodness! Can we post childhood ballet recitals this week?
We could. Yeah, there's plenty of me. There's 2 of Becky because she quit.
I didn't quit. I was lied to about my ballet abilities, and when I uncovered the truth, have we not told this story? So Lily took ballet, and I took ballet, and after, I don't know, maybe it was a few months of ballet, I was moved to the older, more advanced class, and I was told by our mother it's because I was so exceptional at ballet that they moved me up a level. It turns out Mom forced them to put me in that class so she didn't have to go to ballet
twice.
Oh, that's you know what,
class.
Becky, God willing, your second child's going to be born soon, and you will see how the scheduling. I would put my kid in Fight Club if it would reduce the number of trips I have to take. Let's be clear. We have.
So, I just want a video of Becky 9 months pregnant doing ballet with a 2-year-old.
It's so horrible. It's so horrible.
I cannot wait.
But she's doing great, and it's a very special experience. And pretty soon, when Mom and Dad visit, they'll be taking her, and I'm sure they'll take videos. So, yeah. So that's what I did this morning.
Oh wow! Well, I am just so happy to be back with both of you. And I'm so happy to be talking about shows. And I want to start with, this was a big week in the pop culture world because it was the launch of Disney Plus, which, for the first day didn't work. But I had said forever, I don't care about The Mandalorian. I don't need more Star Wars nonsense. I've been burned now twice with The Last Jedi and then Solo, which, like, The Last Jedi was as resentful as fans as a Star Wars property could be, and then Solo was like, let's just put lots of fans only like fan service things, so let's make a movie of like a bunch of stupid gimmicks because Star Wars fans are stupid. So both were the most condescending possible Star Wars things. So I was like, I don't care about this Mandalorian thing, and I'll be first to admit before we get into the show that, like, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I watched it with the kids on Friday night, and I am excited to have a fun Star Wars thing where I am intrigued and I want to know where it's going. And I'm not saying this is not the best Star Wars thing ever, but it feels legit. And that's my opening salvo.
Can we? Ooh, what's that staticky sound? Does anyone else hear that? No.
It's somebody's phone, but sure.
Oh, okay. It's mine. It's my phone. That's fine. No, it's my. Now I know. Oh, okay. Sorry. So, before we go into, should we go into discussing it? Because I also have like a list of questions that would help me understand it better and.
I just wrote Shai while I was watching, and I was like, am I not supposed to understand anything that's happening?
I just want to understand when in the timeline of Star Wars it takes place, or does that matter or not matter?
So you should bring people up to speed.
I will set this up for our listeners.
I needed a title card with this one.
Be aware that there will be spoilers after I give the setup. So after this, just turn this episode off.
If The Mandalorian is very important to you. If it's like mildly important to you, like I'm guessing most people, feel free to listen.
You're right. If it's important to you, to be honest, you saw it already. So Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so about 11 years before The Force Awakens. And
what?
It is taken...
What? Whoa, I need to like take a beat.
What?
Yeah. Hold on. That's why.
I thought it was before.
That's why
everything.
No, that's why the ending is so mysterious.
Wait, how many years between Jedi and Force Awakens?
I think there's technically like 16 years or something like that.
No way. It has to be more. That makes no sense. It has to be.
Oh, no, you're right. No, it's like 30 years.
It to be like, it's like 30 years.
Yeah, so sorry. So it takes place about 5 years. It takes place about 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and I think 20 plus until The Force Awakens. And so so what you're looking at 20 plus, yeah, something like that, around 20 something. I'd look up the exact number.
So in the world of the Mandalorian, Luke, Leia, Han,
they
all exist and they're all alive.
They're all exist and they're probably relatively happy. And where the Mandalorian is taking place is after the fall of the Empire. This is something that those of us who love Star Wars have always been interested in this period. After the fall of the Empire, there's always been this question of, wait a minute, so the Empire falls, but it's not like the rebellion suddenly has a working government, and the lawlessness of the galaxy, the frontier of the galaxy post-Empire, is even more lawless than it was in the early days of the rebellion, because this power structure that had been binding the entire galaxy has now fallen. So amongst this, of course, bounty hunters who have already existed in the Star Wars world are rocking and rolling. They're doing their work for hire. And you're introduced to this first bounty hunter, this guy, the Mandalorian. He is called the Mandalorian because he wears the armor similar to that of Boba Fett. Boba Fett's armor comes from the planet Mandalore, which is a very proud, regal warrior planet that the lore of which is expanded upon in the Clone Wars cartoons in in hit or miss episodes, but still very important. And they have like a very strong tradition. And he is wearing that armor, and that's why you see Boba Fett has that armor. But in the Clone Wars cartoons, you see a lot of different characters have different spins on that armor. Similarly, in Star Wars Rebels, Sabine Wren has Mandalorian armor, and he's modeled after. And we knew this going into it, but he's modeled after the Clint Eastwood Man with No Name Western style. So if anything, there's a little bit of a Firefly feel to it. And you see this gunfighter, this Mandalorian gunfighter, and he's given a very mysterious charge, task, person to track down. And that's what the first episode leads you to, which is the tracking down of this character, who then that begins the real story at the end of that episode, which I really wasn't sure how they were going to do it and make it interesting, but I thought it was pretty darn interesting.
You didn't know the ending?
No, not even close. Because, see, here's the thing. So the ending ends up tying, in a way, we don't exactly know how, but ends up tying very much to core Star Wars characters. I had been under the impression that not only would the Mandalorian be part of areas of the galaxy that no one had ever really looked at and would not tie into the greater story, that it was going to have nothing to do with the Force. It was really just going to be for like all the...
It might as well have just been a sci-fi show.
Right.
It didn't have to be...
Right. All the nerds who just wanted to see bounty hunters gunning each other down, like that's what it was going to be about, blah, blah, blah. And in the end, and this is where the big spoiler comes, he fights his way through a huge garrison of guards and bounty hunters.
Which is nice that you have that like Star Wars humor in there with the droid and stuff. I was like, I like this.
Yeah,
like
there was
it doesn't take itself. Star Wars never took itself too seriously.
Exactly,
which is nice.
And it was a good, but it kept the tone the right way. And he gets through, and there's this egg, and he opens. It's not an egg; it's like a floating pod, and he opens up the floating pod.
It's a bassinet.
It's a bassinet. Yeah,
and it's
call it what you want.
It's supposed to be a person or creature of 50 years old, and it is. But what it is a childlike character that is of the same species as
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
So that's where I got super confused. I was like, wait a minute.
This
is about Baby Yoda, but Yoda's like 1,000 years old. So when does this take place?
So
that's why I got super confused.
That is part
Imagine
of the mystery.
Imagine having a baby for 50 years, guys. Imagine.
Yeah, but if it had a floating bassinet, I mean, I feel like that would just take so much of the trouble out.
So Baby Yoda, as he's known now on the internet because no one knows his name, Baby Yoda is born, or he's 50 years old, so he has existed during the end of Yoda's life, right? Because Yoda will have only died 5 years previously at the end of Return of the Jedi, and so he's been around for 45 years contiguously with Yoda, but other than Yaddle, who is a female version of Yoda seen in The Phantom Menace, I think, or in Attack of the Clones, one of those.
Definitely not pay attention to that.
We have never seen another character of Yoda's species.
Do we know what species he is, where they come from, how many there are? Is this like a Chewie situation where there are none left?
Well, it's always been one of these great mysterious things. And so for me, I was like enjoying the whole Man with No Name gunfighter thing. I was like, oh, cool. This is like Firefly, but with Star Wars stuff. I'm on board. Now suddenly, and I'm gonna this is where I'm gonna hammer home. They got me. Why did they get me? The same way when Rogue One brings in Darth Vader in that incredible scene, you get me, and the same way that I believe, and I continue to believe, that for Star Wars really to work, for something to be truly Star Wars, it has to tie into the bigger story somehow. And it has to be respectful of the bigger story. And to have this, another analogy I've heard is Lone Wolf and Cub, which is not it's not a comic book I'm very familiar with, but I believe it's like, or even Logan with Baby Hulk in Marvel. But the whole idea of like the gunfighter protecting the baby is an amazing image to have in Star Wars.
Probably this Baby Yoda can do really cool things.
Have you seen Episode 2?
No, I saw the first.
Yet.
I saw the first like 5 minutes of it.
All right, so episode 2 was like, if I was interested in episode 1, episode 2 I was like, oh, I'm in deep now.
That's great though.
Awesome.
Look, I'd rather it be that way than
I gotta
like a
tell
pile
you,
of shit.
Episode 1 ended with me going, oh damn, I actually really want, like, I want to roll into episode 2 and see what's gonna happen. Because
I was also like, oh, we get to see Yoda grow up. Good to know it's not actually Yoda.
It's not Yoda, which is really important to understand. So, question.
Wait, I just want to say something quick. I just want to say, I'm texting Shai while I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And Shai's like, well, I'm not an expert, and I text him back, if you're not an expert, who is out there?
Also, way to humble brag, Shai. I'm not an expert.
He's like, I'm not an expert, but I can tell you that the armor on this guy is from this planet. And I was like, oh, Shai, I don't know what you think experts are, but you're an expert.
So a couple of things. I just want to do a couple of initial reactions. Okay. One, for me, and if the Mandalorian doesn't take his helmet off, it's not going to actually hold. I have to meet him at some point. He can't just be...
I don't think they would have cast...
so iconic.
I don't think they would have cast him if they're not going to take the helmet off.
Yeah.
Agreed. So because I know he's cast in the part, I'm like, okay, episode 2, maybe they'll push it as far as 3. We're going to meet him. So I am very much looking forward to that. Second note, was episode 1 particularly good? Because it was directed by Taika Waititi.
I mean,
which it was.
Taika Waititi. So here's the thing: Taika Waititi and Jon Favreau teamed up. Here are two people. Okay, we have to remember Jon Favreau literally made the pilot for the Marvel Universe. He directed Iron Man.
Right, which I also wanted to bring up Favreau and talk about our trust and our faith in him, because I feel like he's delivering,
the bed with Lion King, I can tell you that.
And then Waititi, who took a moribund franchise, a franchise that people had basically given up on in the Thor movies, and essentially rebooted and made arguably the best movie in the whole, arguably the best movie in the whole MCU.
Yes,
a great standalone, but something that enriches everything else, right? So here we have these two guys, and again, I can't not contrast it to Rian Johnson, who is like, Star Wars fans are obnoxious fanboys. I'm going to make them feel like idiots. And
we don't really know that that's what he was thinking. I know you feel like you've gotten into his psyche.
Okay, maybe a little baby.
He may not have been thinking that. It's how you felt about what he did.
Yeah, but that movie. But here you have something. Now, granted, we haven't seen where it goes in the end. But here we get. This movie is making. This show is making some promises, but also there are details in there for fans. Like, if you watch with the subtitles, which I did because I was watching on a low volume, the language that a lot of the crazy alien language that they're speaking is Huttese, which is the language of Jabba the Hutt. So...
Sorry, you're not an expert. Hashtag not an expert.
Which is the language that the bounty hunters all speak together. So when they're speaking that language, they're speaking the language of the underworld.
Non-experts know that kind of information. Then what the hell do experts know? Jeez.
And so anyway, so that's so I think Taika Waititi, the fact that action scene when they're in the gunfight was able to be funny, but you also felt the stakes.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, that is the scene where the whole rest of it, it could have been, a lot of people could have probably directed it, but I would say that is the crucial scene where you're laughing but nervous, and there's tension but laughter, and he does that so well.
And there weren't scenes of extreme seriousness with scenes of extremely stupid jokes, which is what I think both Solo and Last Jedi suffered from. This was it was all in the same world.
I think what you're saying, it's respectful to the story, it's to the franchise, and I think Taika Waititi, what we've seen now with Thor, and I think with this, as far as him participating in somebody else's property, right? So it's not just his original stories, is how respectful he is of the material, and then how he's plussing it. He's not trying to turn it into something it's not to prove a point. He's really just plussing it, and makes him a very special director.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, Becky, as a filmmaker, I was really interested because I'd heard a lot about the shots and how it was a little more cinematic. It didn't necessarily look more cinematic to me, but it definitely had this like Old West feel, like Firefly. But
it had a super high production value. I was watching it going like,
I mean, it looked beautiful.
Damn.
You could
like,
tell. Yeah,
I watched
the first thing I thought of is how much money was spent on this episode.
I don't, or maybe it wasn't.
It looked beautiful. I don't know. I thought it looked beautiful.
It could have been a ton of money, or it could have also just been a really high caliber production design team and art team and colorists and you know, costumes and props. Like, sure, a lot of money, but the production value, clearly the people they have working on it are really high.
The show cost $100 million to make.
The whole 8 episodes.
But the way I would say is this show had to sell Disney Plus, because I like that Disney, when it takes all of its stuff away from everybody else, it's you're gonna have to watch it somewhere. But you need something new to draw you in. You can't just be like, oh, I really want to watch Aladdin. I guess I'll finally get Disney Plus, right? And that's how I feel about Disney Plus. I'm really enjoying poking around in it, but
what's the Marvel show that Disney Plus is doing?
Well, they're doing.
They spent more money on that apparently. That's $25 million an episode.
Well, they're doing a few. They're doing Hawkeye and I think they're doing a Hawkeye show, but they're doing Falcon and Bucky. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I love Hawkeye, but only if it's Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, well, it may or may not be. And then they're also doing WandaVision, which is going to be Scarlet Witch and Vision together, and then they're also doing a Loki show.
WandaVision. That's not the name of the show, though, right? Because that's a terrible name.
I think it's the name of the show. But I think there was a comic that was called that. Anyways. So, all right. So from a shot standpoint, Lily, what questions do you have?
Okay, so he gets some fancy money and buys himself shoulder pads. I don't understand that.
I thought she was saying something about donate, like you donated this to
Well, there's leftover money because he buys himself fancy shoulder pads, but he's got more money left. And so she's like, now you can donate to help the future assassins or bounty hunters.
I didn't fully understand that part, to be honest.
Why? Yeah, like I was like, what is the deal with these shoulder pads?
I don't understand the shoulder pads, but what I read from that scene which is really important for the setup for his decision making at the end,
he was an orphan.
He has a heart. He has a connection to he cares about orphan children. So I think that's super important to give him a motivation to actually.
Absolutely, I just don't understand.
That's all I need to read
super
from
fancy
it.
Money, and then he soups up his outfit.
That's for the experts.
Do you know
the experts can explain.
Do you know what I think my relationship with this show and shows at the beginning where I'm like, I mean, I was trying to hate this show and I really walked away loving it.
Baby Yoda. They were like, what is the one thing Star Wars fans will not be able to resist? How will we get them? They sat around on a table, and some idiot was like, Baby Yoda. And everybody was like, Baby Yoda! And then that was it. That was it.
Baby Yoda literally saved Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? But it's amazing to me, though, is that all these, all the fans seem to agree on The Mandalorian. Everyone agrees that it is really good. There's no pushback. So I think what it says is, number one, Star Wars, when you don't screw it up, people like it. So that's one.
People love The Force Awakens.
Right.
That's a perfect example.
Some people fetched about how it was similar or whatever to other things, but everybody liked
Return of the Jedi. Whatever.
But when you screw it up, but also when you don't screw it up, I don't remember. But the point is that Baby Yoda was a good move.
Good call.
Baby Yoda. Now, when you see episode 2...
I'm just going to read this one line from a Vulture article that says, look at him. He's got peach fuzz on his little head, eyes as big as Dagobah, and a nose that's just...
Dagobah.
The
planet that Yoda lived on.
Dagobah. So I'm actually not an expert.
I mean, I get as far as Dagobah.
And a nose that's
from the
just
Weird Al song.
And a nose that's just begging to be booped.
Oh, he's so cute. He is so cute.
You have to see in the scenes, because they really he's not just floating in the egg. They have these amazing scenes in the next episode where, anyways, he's
got powers, right? Like, he does stuff.
He does have powers for sure. But where he and it's almost silent. Like the show, the kids turned to me. We watched the second episode together, and the kids turned to me and they were like, is there going to be talking in this show? And I'm like, I don't think there's a lot of talking in this show. And there are like silent scenes with him and Baby Yoda that are like, oh, wow, this is what Star Wars is about. A little mystery, a little magic, some hope.
Yeah.
I would say this now, I would love somehow, because he's so beloved, I guess it's too late to work him into episode 9, but if he's alive here, and presumably he's going to live 1,000 years.
He's alive in the next Star Wars.
He's alive during the new trilogy, so wait, we're dicking around with Rey and Kylo Ren's shirtless FaceTiming, and Baby Yoda's just been sitting on television?
Right.
Like,
handle
are
it.
you serious?
I mean, sometimes I feel like they have to, like, that's like what happens in Marvel. There's like so many cooks in the kitchen that like somebody forgot to, like, they forget the things that they've created to the point where then it screws up like what could have been, should have been, or what is. There's just too many storylines.
They could have made the whole new trilogy about Rey and Baby Yoda just traveling around kicking butt together.
For sure.
And all to say, thank you, Jon Favreau.
Yes.
Really, really appreciate what you're doing here.
Favreau has the love.
Hopefully you'll hear this and know that we are grateful.
I don't know if he already takes his mask off in the second episode, Shai.
He doesn't yet. I think they're saving.
I'm going to say, Beck, that he's not going to take it off to the last episode, and it's going to be a thing because everybody knows who he is.
That's too long.
I think that it's gonna go the distance.
I just don't know that. I don't know that it can.
Yourself.
I just don't know that it can hold if you don't see his face.
I agree with you.
Eyes.
How many episodes are there?
8.
Okay.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. Okay, that's what we've been watching. Let's start going around the horn. Becky, what have you been watching?
Actually, before I even get into what I've been watching, I want to do a little bit on music because I've had a few wonderful magical musical moments lately.
Sure.
The first is last night I went to go see Dan Byrne, beloved
amazing
musician, artist, folk singer. We love him. We've loved him for many, many years. And he played at this really small venue in my neighborhood. I couldn't believe it. There was like maybe 100 people there. It was so intimate. It was phenomenal. I won't say it was, I don't want to say it was like peak Dan Byrne in that, after this he would go downhill. But as far as the shows I've seen, it was absolutely the best show. He played such a great set list. He actually lost his set list, or he forgot to bring it with him on stage. So after like 7 or 8 songs, he kind of just turned to the audience. He's like, what's next? And then we all just got to like request songs.
Oh my God. Did he play Jerusalem?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's Shai, did you see him play?
Jerusalem. Yeah. He played Black Tornado. He played Chelsea Hotel, which was really exciting. He took that request. He was so just great. Spending so much time talking to people in the crowd and telling stories and being like all those like funny little bits where he just plays guitar and tells like a rambling story about something. And it was, oh my gosh, it was
Did you get to chit chat with him in person at all?
I didn't because he wasn't hanging around before the show.
Oh, okay.
And I really pumpkined at the end. I really had to go. I had to go to bed.
That's amazing.
So it was very special. So that is one wonderful musical moment. I'm also having another musical transformation in my life right now, which is that, and this goes out to Lons. It's a bit of a confession and I guess a bit of an I told you show for her. Lons, the truth is, I've never really liked Taylor Swift. I've never really gotten her. I don't have a problem with her.
Sacrilegious.
Well, I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a problem. See, like that song, I don't get it. I've never had a problem with her. You do you. Wonderful that people love you.
Not even Bad Blood?
No, it just never really spoke to me. And I have to tell you, the song Lover has changed me.
Really?
And it's not
I like the other one off of the
I'm going to explain why. It's not just what she's singing and her lyrics. It's the way she sings it. I feel like she is capturing this moment in a young adult life where you feel like you're
very hormonal.
No, listen to it. Think about where you were.
I've heard the song, Becky. You're the last person on earth.
No. Hey, I'm on the Taylor Swift train.
I've been listening to it for a few weeks now. I've been ruminating on this. Every time I hear it, I'm like, T Swift, you are just really nailing this moment. And I just feel like it's the type of song I listen to it and I kind of cringe thinking back on myself, 10 years ago or so. But then also I'm very, like, my heart is also warmed thinking about this story she's telling about, like, moving in with your person and feeling like such an adult and you're starting this life. And she endeared herself to me with this song. I feel like, so I feel like I've really come around on Taylor Swift and love the song Lover.
I like You Need to Calm Down.
I like. I'm a Are You Ready for It fan, but also her new song for the movie Cats dropped this week. She co-wrote a song with Andrew Lloyd Webber for Cats.
Wait. And then there's another one from the new album that's also very, very good that I can't remember what it is. Oh, You Need to Calm Down.
I just said it like 3 times.
That is amazing. That's another one that is so...
Have you seen the video with her and Katy Perry?
No, but I will watch it. That's so funny. All I have to say is I feel like this album is the one I'm connecting with, and I don't need to calm down about how much I'm liking Taylor Swift. Tell that to Lon. Lon would not want me to calm down. He would want me.
I'm saying the name of the song. I'm not telling you to calm down, but you need to calm down.
You were also telling me I needed to calm down.
No, I wasn't. I was just saying the title of the song, but clearly you need to calm down.
Clearly, I don't. I'm going to continue.
And the Queer Eye guys are in the video. It's a great video.
What's most important is that her song for the movie Cats that she co-wrote with Andrew Lloyd Webber called Beautiful Ghosts came out. It's described on the internet as a wistful new ballad. Lily, what have you been watching?
I will just say this. On to what I've been listening.
What show is this now?
Just give me 1 second. I see Mandy Moore being interviewed on a show. Maybe it was Seth Meyers or something. I don't one of those.
Oh, I heard her new album's amazing.
Well, so I see her being interviewed, and we've talked about when we did the whole beta male thing when Rachel was on the show. We went into how, like, a bit of her story, how she, like, was basically, like, psychologically abused by her ex, and who's in the music industry. We went into the whole thing about that, and she finally, after all these years, which she basically said that she didn't put out any music because he basically, like, didn't let her, and now she's, like, remarried and happy, has a great career, and she's finally putting out an album. So I was hearing her talk about it, and I was like, I'm gonna give her a chance. So I go to like see, like, she's only released 2 singles, and then I think her album's dropping soon. And the song, I listened to one of her songs when I wasn't watching. And if you think about the fact that, like, you know her backstory with this guy, and you're listening to the song she wrote, I was like, this is a great. Oh my God, what's Stevie Nicks? I just went blank.
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac, thank you. I feel like it's like kind of a Fleetwood Mac-y kind of song, or like a Stevie Nicks kind of vibe to it.
Cool.
But it's a really cool song, and I think the lyrics are, like, if you listen carefully, I'm really into lyrics, guys. You're like, shit, you clearly, thank God you got out of that relationship. And good for you, Mandy, and your cool music. Pop music.
I'll save my music recommendation for later, and I'm going to bring up another television show now.
I have TV shows on my list, too.
I know,
Becky has...
But you each had your turn, and now I'm going to go. I said we were going to go turns this time. I'm good, but it's like I'm going to sneak in some Becky here because I had the chance to go on Take Two podcast with Craig of the Take Two Takedown and talk about Riverdale, and we were supposed to record a 5-minute bit, and it turned into a half-hour bit. And Brian, I think Brian sort of called it out because when you listen to the intro of the latest episode that I guested on, he intros it by saying, normally you're going to get solo, recaps of all of the main CW shows except for one scenario where Shy and Craig talk for 30 minutes. You can skip that one if you want. But I urge everyone to go to minute 21 and 10 seconds of the recent Take Two podcast CW recap. All in all, I'm going to say Riverdale is always hard for me to get going with. It's like cranking up the lawnmower or something like that for me. But once I get going, I'm like, I just need more of it and more of it and more of it. And they have all the 5 main characters are each all in their own separate TV show right now. Like, they're on the same show, but they're like they're on different shows. You have Betty's basically on Dexter, where she's found out she has a serial killer gene. I attribute that to Becky, who made that point.
No, but I think that keep going.
And I want to say probably the greatest thing I've ever seen on a soap opera for basically teenagers ever is that Cheryl Blossom's character. 50% of her scenes are her talking to the embalmed dead body of her brother who was killed in season 1 that reappeared.
So I was like, do you care if I tell you what happens on the show? You got to hear what happened. And I was like, what are you watching?
And she just like dresses him up and talks to him and hides him in the chapel in the basement of her house.
I mean, what I like about this season is that I feel like they finally have gone all in on each of these characters just having different TV shows and being okay with that.
They're not forcing them together.
Not forcing them together. And most importantly, Archie's been the most problematic character because he's the least interesting and the worst.
And his hair's so red.
But because they just were finally like, he's extremely stupid, let's work with that. It's finally working for me.
Yeah.
Let's not try.
They're leaning into his stupidity.
They're leaning into how much of a dummy he is.
Let's be clear what his logic was. He needs $50,000 to save his center. He has miracles, like in Break-In. Veronica, his girlfriend, who is sort of no longer a criminal, offers him to lend him $50,000. He says no. And then he decides to go out as a masked vigilante and beat and rob drug dealers. And then he's like, look, I got the money. I don't need your loan. His logic was, I won't take money from my girlfriend who loves me no matter what, who broke me out of prison and I can trust, but I will go and get on the radar of drug dealers.
And then be really confused why these drug dealers want revenge.
Yeah,
and just be like, I don't understand why you won't leave us alone.
He's like, my friend's dad is the sheriff.
Oh, that was the best.
My mom is a lawyer.
Can you guys just quickly tell me how Luke Perry dies?
He dies off screen in a car accident in the first episode.
Saving other people's lives. Saving Shannon Doherty's life.
Yeah, they had Shannon Doherty play the person whose life he saved.
I actually, when she came on, I was full on sobbing that they brought her as the cameo of the person that he saved. Like, I lost it. I cried through that episode.
It was really sad.
That was really good, although that episode was really hard to watch. It was a tribute to him, really. Archie has to drive down to whatever town his dad died in and recover the body. And thank goodness.
Are there no adults in this show?
Well,
at this point, they're all orphaned.
Archie's mother isn't even sure she's going to stay living with Archie in his empty house.
Like weeks after his father has died, and he's now. It doesn't even matter.
She's it's his senior year. She's not even like immediately. I'll stay till the end of your senior year and telework.
Yeah.
In the end, she decides to, and she's like now the town lawyer. She's suing everybody in town.
She's a criminal defense lawyer.
Yeah,
she's
I
a
still
prosecutor.
cannot believe how into this show you are.
Yeah, she's a prosecutor and a defense lawyer.
And she does like a lot of different types of lawyering.
Could either one of you? This is so the show I would have watched in high school and even university, and definitely not the two of you. The fact that these tables are turned is very bizarre. Neither one of you watched Gossip Girl, which is basically the same show.
No, I can't watch Gossip Girl, but I will say I don't think it's a coincidence that Riverdale premiered when I was on my first maternity leave. There's been a rewiring. There's been a rewiring of my brain. I'm very pleased with the rewiring.
All in all is to say is, it's hard to. I would say this is not the season to get into Riverdale. At this point, you've got to start from the beginning because you won't appreciate Dead Jason Blossom as much as I do.
Right.
So you'll have to slog through. It's a show that's 22 episodes every year. That should probably be 10. But it's hard to tell which number episodes.
Like a short 10.
Yeah, a short 10. But there's lots to go. Okay.
Or can you watch it on like 1.5 speed? Like,
see, this is why we need 1.5 speed.
You're jogging.
People are like being such babies about it. You have like Martin Scorsese being babies about people streaming movies.
What do you guys think of that? Like his double down on shitting on Marvel.
Wait,
I think.
What do you mean? I don't know.
Scorsese and who else was it? De Niro?
Why are they shitting on Marvel?
I don't know. They're saying it's destroying movies.
News? For God's sakes.
No. Yeah, he's been throwing shade at the Marvel.
Didn't he just make a big Netflix movie? So he should be all about streaming.
No. He was crapping on Marvel movies just as being
like ruining cinema, basically ruining film.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I like how, like, on the red carpet, they keep asking all these famous actors that, like, Samuel Jackson, right, who obviously has a whole career behind him, and he's in the Marvel movies, and, like, the reporters, like, trying to egg him on to, like, say something negative or whatever, and he's just like, everybody's entitled to their opinion. What the hell do you want from me? He's like, I'm in these movies. What would you like me to say?
I honestly wish actors more and more said when they didn't like things, and Hollywood didn't get so sensitive about it. Like, I'm glad to know Scorsese didn't like it. Like, okay,
right,
whatever.
That's
doesn't
what
make
Samuel
it bad.
Jackson's saying. He's like, it's not for everyone. And, like, there's people that don't like his movies. I obviously do. Most people do.
Oh, come on. Have you watched The Aviator? I don't want to see The Aviator.
That's a good point. I think he said most of his movies. But he's
Shutter,
also like,
Shutter Island's very good. I like Shutter Island. That's nice.
Generally, he's a good director.
That's like the level of scare.
But here's the thing, Martin Scorsese. Other than Hugo, is there a single one of his movies I can take my kids to? No.
Hugo.
So,
that movie's
that's
terrible.
a cool movie. I like that
hated
movie.
that movie. No.
See, the world I'll be opened
I'll
up
say
to
this, Martin
children.
Scorsese, Hugo, the little kid in that movie who likes the French moon, whatever nonsense, he would love Marvel movies because they're fun and exciting.
Okay. Round robin, is it back to me now?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. Oh, guys, have you been watching The Good Place this season?
Yes, I love it.
Wait, did it start?
Talk about a show.
Oh yeah, it's
almost over.
So good too. It's like
are
so
you kidding?
sad that it's almost.
Yeah, you gotta get on Hulu. I think actually some of the episodes already
on
expired
Netflix.
on Friday. No, the most recent season. Most
It's
recent
on
season.
Netflix
It's actually
for me.
like
God,
it's
I've been
weekly
watching
on my
Lily's
Netflix. It's
Utrecht
weekly.
show all day, and I could have been
I
watching.
didn't stop calling it my show.
We'll get to that.
Utrecht. Anyway, so I think some of the episodes have already even expired on Hulu.
On Spanish Netflix show. You can come over, download it, and go back home. What do you think?
The new season?
Yeah, I get it weekly on my Netflix.
Oh, I gotta tell you, this season, it has really leveled up. It is such a phenomenal show. For me, it will go down
that it's
like
canceled.
it will go down next to Parks and Rec.
I don't think
as
it's
a
canceled.
dearly
I think
beloved
it's just ended.
No,
Ended is a nice way of saying it's been canceled.
I don't think
no
it's
way.
a show that could go on forever.
No, they chose not to continue it. Michael Schur.
They all seem so sad, the actors.
Yeah, because it's amazing. But Michael Schur was like, no, this is the story. It's 4 seasons. I'm not making any more episodes. And it's so good. It will go down for me in my, comfort food shows of all time.
True, but also it's like it served me very well when we were having like Yom Kippur discussions. It's very smart.
Oh yeah.
It's like a really,
So
smart
that's what
show.
I've been watching.
It's also my comfort show.
Well, I'm gonna get back to that because that's.
I'm gonna take the credit for this one, Beck. I know it was on your list, but I'm going to take the credit.
That's why I didn't say it. I left it for
you. And then you can go back if you want to say something about it. But I recommend it to both of you. And this is the definite, like, Rex RX. I know Shelly, like, our cousin Shelly has a sinus infection. She's sick at home. Your back's been out. But my Rex RX for everybody this week is, I was sick. I was, like, dying with a fever. And
I was just cranky as shit this week. So it was very helpful.
But I have to say, Seth Meyers' special on Netflix, Lobby Baby, was fantastic. And you watch a special like that, and you're like, oh my God, everybody has a special. Like, everybody has a special now. And Netflix is just churning those out like these, like, mystery supernatural shows. Like, all the time. Right? Everybody's got a special. Now,
I know
Jenny
they're specials,
Slate's...
but they are just recording someone's stand-up show, right? This is not...
Right. No, exactly. But you know, Jenny Slates has interviews with her family, and it's a special that's actually like...
Yeah, I saw most of that.
Interacting with, like, people in her life and going back to her childhood home. And that one was good. I think it was good. It was interesting. Yeah. It was different. Right, exactly. But it was okay. His made me, like feel like this is what a special is supposed to be, or this is what a stand-up is supposed to be. I
was cackling with, like...
Exactly.
Like belly laughed.
His timing, his writing, his not into being too self-indulgent in the personality that he is. Like him, like, doing Seth Meyers-ish things without...
The self-deprecation.
Right, but really, like, without taking it too far, because I feel like some of these people are so famous now that it's just like they lean a bit too much into, like, who we think their character is. And he definitely has a character from Late Night from SNL, but he was just like a funny dude, and he Yeah, I thought he was creative and genuinely funny. And
now, what I want to add to that is that I was in tears laughing. Vlad was like amused, and I asked him, I said, why aren't you laughing?
A lot about how guys are super stupid.
No. And he says, well, his type of comedy is a bit too vanilla for me. And I was thinking about it. I go, you know what? This type of comedy is exactly for me, because he's taking the people down a peg who need to be taken down a peg, instead of just taking shots at low-hanging fruit or at marginalized stories or people. You know what I mean? Like, it actually doesn't feel vanilla. It feels quite sophisticated to me. The way that he forms his jokes, because I don't know. I actually think it's quite smart, and the fact that he does make fun of himself as a father, as a man, as a husband, I so appreciate, because it's all the things I feel like I suffer from in my marriage.
No, but it's true, and he's not like just like guys are dumb. Like, he really genuinely
understands how stupid he is.
Right, and is very honest about how difficult marriage is and how difficult parenthood is, or fatherhood, or whatever. But I also appreciate
I don't know. Well, maybe I find my marriage to be delightful.
Oh, it's not about it being delightful, but like, it can have moments. Even if you're a celebrity or someone who has all the money, obviously he's like super rich with a huge apartment in New York City. He still has the same fights of like when you're shy. You also ask your wife, like, from her perspective.
Look, I didn't say being married to me was easy.
Right, exactly.
Being married to Allie is a delight.
Shy, you haven't seen it yet, though, right? You need to watch it. But he does a little bit on politics. But he has the skip intro button. He has it for the skip politics.
No, he does. It wasn't actually there. Was there a button?
Of course it was there.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, like, if you, it was like, I don't want people to stop watching my special just because I'm going to get into politics. There's a button. Let's wait for it. On the bottom left. If you want to skip this part, it'll jump to the next part of my special, so you don't have to like listen to politics.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was, and then at the end of that, he's like, I'm going to say something right now for the people who just came back that's going to be like so crazy that they're going to be like, shit, I have to go back and watch the whole thing.
That's amazing.
That's something pretty funny. Anyway, so I highly recommend that. Round Robin, next.
Lobby Baby.
Okay. But watch it with your wife.
I'll watch it with Allie, please.
Okay. So now I want to talk about the show also known as the Utrids, which is a show that Lily and Josh. So I had Becky and Josh force me to watch, and they got an I Told You show for Big Mouth. I'm not quite giving out an I Told You show for this debacle yet, but I am.
If you did, you know who you have to give it to.
Yeah. Well, Lily and Josh, basically forced me because I can't move anywhere. They might as well have come to my house and not
involved in this. I'm just getting berated with messages, Becky, day and night about questions about this show. Who plays who? What characters? What? And there's like 1,000. It's like a Game of Thrones type situation. There's like 1,000 characters. I was like, who's this? Who's that? Who's this? And it's constant.
Okay, wait, you guys know quickly. Sorry,
I need people to know the name of the show though, because I called it the
Last Kingdom.
It's called The Last Kingdom, and Josh all week was trying to get me to watch some other show called Vikings, and so these were the two Viking shows that he wanted me to watch, and so I watched the other one, The Last Kingdom, because Lily had said so many good things about it, and so he wanted me to watch either one of them, so I started this one, and it's essentially about a guy who is a Saxon who was raised with the Danes, who are the Viking types, and the Norse Viking characters, and it's about the war over the land in England, and he's caught between two worlds. The first 3 episodes were pretty oppressive, but somewhere in the 3rd episode I started getting into it, but then one of the biggest issues with this show was that I could not tell what the hell was going on, and finally though, the beginning
or why it mattered. Or why it mattered.
And Netflix, when you're binge watching a show and you hit next episode now, it automatically skips the intro of the next episode, which I think is great if you want to just watch something through. But what I didn't realize is that The Last Kingdom probably has the best episode recaps I've ever seen in a show. They're like
if someone's going to watch it, this is a great.
Yeah. They're like a minute long.
Tip.
They're not even a minute long. And it's literally, I am Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Here are all the things that happened that you need to know for this episode that we're about to have, and now the episode's going to start. And then you can still skip the music.
don't like the show.
So now I've watched 6.5 hours of the show.
Because you like the intro.
God, episode 7. Why are you making me keep watching this? And I'm like, I am not in your living room. Stop watching. If clearly you like it, so what do you want me to do?
Essentially, it's a show that's on Netflix, but it was on BBC America. It's not finished yet. It's in its 4th season. If you liked the Jon Snow plot of Game of Thrones and wanted the sort of like handsome but slightly smarter than Jon Snow, but still
Definitely
a little
smarter and braver and everything. He's way better than Jon Snow.
He's a little bit still of a dummy, though. But yeah, if you wanted the Jon Snow plot of Game of Thrones without all of the dragon breastfeeding and the incest, this is a very good show.
Okay, so you know how the last thing you ate before you're hit with a stomach, like before, like you're hit with the flu and you start throwing up or food poisoning.
Oh yeah.
Right. It just grosses you out. You can't look at it again
for a while.
So I think at the very beginning of the 2nd episode, I got hit with, like, I kind of knew I was getting sick, and maybe about 10 minutes into the 2nd episode.
That weird
feeling. I need a word for this.
While Mom, Dad, and Vlad were, like, tearing through the show, I was in the bathroom puking my guts out with, like, a fever.
Oh, my God. That's like your black beans. That's like Shy's black beans.
Yeah. Not been able to go back and get black beans. Because now I associate it with the flu.
Should we call it a showtrocity?
Showtrocity. That's a great name. Yeah. But I kept saying, you have shownesia. Like amnesia?
What?
Because you're like, I never told you to watch this. And this has nothing to do with me. But if you could have told you so, I get it because I'm doing all the work, Josh. I'm sitting there texting back with Josh.
The show. You can go back to old episodes from like April when you were really into the show, because I feel like I watched it because you and Mom and Dad were all super into it.
I'm obsessed with it. I love it, but I in no way made Shy watch it.
You 100% did, and just like Cabin in the Woods. And here's some of the names of the characters: Ubba Bubba, Uda Buddha, Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
It's eclectic. There's a lot of Ethelwolds.
One guy's name is just like Frolic Sack or something like that.
That's accurate. The names are difficult, but they're historic. I mean, what are they going to do?
They are. I've been Googling all the different locations and stuff. So anyways, if you're into swords, I will say Allie is. I thought Allie would be into this show. I've been watching it, but I've been watching it too fast a pace for her. But it doesn't have enough muscular male buns in it for her to really sign on. I know, but you've only seen it once. If it was on the screen more often, she would be into it. And I can't believe you guys wanted me to watch Outlander, but not this show, because this is another show. It has all the parts I liked about Outlander are on this show.
Outlander's coming back in February 16th.
So that's my feeling on The Last Kingdom. It's pretty cool. I'm now in Too Deep to Stop.
Yes. Reverse psychology.
All right.
Becky,
I think I have to wait like yeah.
Do you have any more things?
No, that's actually all I want to talk about. I think between the three of us, we've covered all the shows.
Wait, so I have two more things I just have to mention. One, I watched a documentary on Amazon Prime called Chris Claremont's X-Men, and it's about the most enduring writer of the X-Men who defined the X-Men for the 80s and 90s. Really interesting stuff. And then a hat tip to the Take Two podcast guys again, to John the Heel and to Craig. They recommended that people watch something called the Banana Splits movie, which is on Sci-Fi, and the Banana Splits movie takes a real kids show from the HR Puffin stuff and those other Hanna-Barbera. Yeah. So there was one before that called the Banana Splits TV show, and they had the theme song Tra La 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 La. I don't know if you ever heard that before, but it's a pretty famous song. And they reimagined it as a bunch of kids go to see the show, and the characters go crazy and chop everybody up, and it becomes a massacre.
And they didn't have like issues with like rights and stuff.
I mean, I guess they got the rights to it. I don't know, but it was a horror comedy, but emphasis on
love a good horror comedy.
It was. again, for all of the schvach that Netflix puts out and tries to make you think these are like critically acclaimed movies, I would have much more enjoyed this. This is not a quote-unquote good movie, but it was an hour and a half. It was funny. The characters were fun. And there were some good, I wouldn't say scares, but if you let yourself be in the show with these characters coming alive, it was pretty funny. And so yeah, the Banana Splits movie on Sci-Fi. If you have Sci-Fi with your TV package, you can just watch it. So
also, you forgot to shout out to the Real Viking.
Viking. To the Real Viking.
Yes, shout out.
Yeah, because we talked about the show, and he is our real our guide in the world of Vikings. He was a good friend.
Yeah.
Right on.
You're gonna get very into Vikings, Shy.
All right, gang.
Okay, yeah. His name is the Everyday Viking. Eric Weiss, the Everyday Viking. Everyday Viking on Instagram. Everyone should follow Eric. And yeah. So with that, Becky, where can people follow you?
At PaperBKPrincess on Twitter.
And Lily, where can people follow you?
Chi K Gomez. Chi is CHI. Chi K Gomez on Twitter.
All right, and you can follow me at Pancake4Table. That's pancake and the number 4 table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the whole show at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. And why don't you hop onto iTunes, where you probably were listening to this based on the stats that I read, and write us a review, or subscribe, or tell someone else to subscribe and write a review, because that helps us gain notoriety for the pod. Lord knows we don't do it for the money, but we love to share it with people, and we love to have people feel part of the family. And with that, the theme music by What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance ourselves into the evening. Dun, 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 dun.
Dance?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about dancing. Remember when we used to do that?
All right, love you guys.
No, we do it every week.
Oh,
Bye.
Bye.